Years behind bars before former President Trump commuted his sentence. Keith Daniels joins us with more from Musa and the nonviolent crime that landed him in prison. Keith?
Well, Ty, we should also say no drugs were actually involved in this case, just money and the promise to buy the drugs. Now, Jawad Musa was 26 years old when he went to prison. He's 56 now. And tonight, for him, it's like the beginning of a new life. Compliments of the former president. Jawad Musa is back in Baltimore.
How you doing?
Walking the streets now as a free man. His sentence to life in prison without parole.
I feel like I hit the lottery.
Commuted by former President Donald Trump on his last day in office.
I was not really a big fan of Mr. Trump. You know what I'm saying? Really, I didn't necessarily agree with all his politics, let's just say that. But I come to find out that Mr. Trump have a lot of compassion, man, a lot of mercy.
Musa spent 30 years in prison, released Thursday after being sentenced to life in prison in 1991 for a nonviolent 1-kilo heroin drug deal in a federal sting. At the time, Musa had 2 prior convictions and faced a stiff mandatory minimum sentence. John Gleason, a retired judge and Musa's attorney,
he should have been out decades ago.
Works with the Holloway Project, a group that works to reduce mandatory prison sentences for nonviolent offenses. So when asked who the White House should consider for clemency, he immediately recommended Musa.
I could not possibly have been happier for him or his family, and at the same time I was irritated that it took so long for our system to bring a measure of justice to Jawad's case.
Musa's brother picked him up from the airport. One of the first things he did when he arrived in Baltimore was go to his mother's home, where he gave her a big hug and she gave him a big meal.
Fried chicken and collard greens.
Just what Musa wants most.
Being with family, eating the foods I want to eat.
Well, Musa says he's strengthened his face and he's taken dozens of educational courses. Now, meantime, mandatory federal sentencing guidelines changed in 2018 with the First Step Act, now which that act reduces mandatory minimum sentences for nonviolent offenses.
You know, those bars and restaurants that opened earlier today have already closed. 10 p.m., the new closing time. And the new round of restrictions, however, did not keep diners and drinkers away. At the Baltimore Tap House in Canton, the party is back on.
It feels good. It's tough not to socialize.
The bar opened just after noon today. It was forced to close 6 weeks ago when the mayor ordered all bars and restaurants shut down, hoping to slow the spread of COVID-19.
We have a brown ale from Monument.
At the time, owners of the Tap House liquidated its liquor shelf as it braced for a lengthy shutdown. Bars like this one, which don't serve food, have felt the heaviest sting of city restrictions. In fact, this bar has been shut down 20 of the past 52 weeks.
But everybody's been pretty much crushed.
The bar opened today at 25% capacity, and the regulars were keeping one eye on the beer and the other on the clock. The city is ordering all patrons to be in and out in 1 hour.
The whole hour thing makes me feel like people are going to go here, stay an hour here, go to another bar, and if that person is spreading it, then it creates this like people are traveling then.
The restrictions remain some of the tightest in the state. Today, the mayor vowed to reassess them.
What we will be doing is looking at the impact, we're looking at the numbers as we always do, and we're just hopeful, as I said again, having the lowest positivity rate in the state, we're hopeful that folks are responsible so that we can keep that moving and we can keep our folks open.
It doesn't make sense. It's unnecessary.
The new restrictions also require a 10 p.m. closing time, an hour when many bargoers were once ordering their first round. Now it's last call.
We've gotten to the point where we'll take the little bit they'll give us instead of being PO'd about not having what the whole pie. Now when they give you a little bit, you take it because you want to just keep the lights on.
Well, some bars and restaurants chose not to reopen today, owners saying that these tight restrictions were still not good enough to justify reopening.
The service was put on hold for months due to COVID. But the city's trash issues persist, which is why a group of volunteers came together in East Baltimore today for a community cleanup. Joseph Ojo has that story.
When some people think of Baltimore,
The narrative is also always given that black men are just out here robbing and killing and selling drugs and just doing all manner of evil things. Hey fellas, after this block, we want to turn back, we want to cross the street and turn back down.
that's why the Tendaya Family Organization, led by Elijah Miles,
We need extra trash bags too.
is working to change that mindset.
As we walking past, can a couple of us hit the park over here where the youth play?
Sunday, a group of about 50 black men and children cleaned out clogged drains, lots filled with cans and bottles, and dirty alleys that are overflowing with garbage in the 21205 zip code.
Again, watch your needles, watch the needles. This is a real high activity area.
There have been several calls to 311 about the trash that plagues the neighborhood.
If you're talking about the street and alley cleanings, we are working to reduce that backlog each and every day.
That this is my city. I was born and raised in Baltimore City, so if no one else is going to take care of my city, it must be me.
That's why many in the community say they can no longer wait for their calls to be answered. Instead, they are taking responsibility.
There are many community members who will walk by, see us doing the community cleanup, and say, jump in, brother, let me get some gloves and let me get some trash bags.
In order to return to recycling collection, DPW hired more workers and provided raises and benefits. Despite pickups resuming last week, the Tendaya Family Organization tells me they will continue to step up and do what needs to be done.
Our youth are willing to do positive things. Our youth want to do great things for their community.
Joseph Ojo,
Men's community cleanup every Sunday, 10 a.m.
Fox 45 News.